We are back to Premier League action this weekend on Sunday at 4:30, and we're going to be taking on Chelsea. This is going to be such an important match. Such an important match coming after, making sure that we've gotten through into the Champions League final, which is absolutely phenomenal, absolutely brilliant of Liverpool to get there. Yes, we lost against Roma, but we got there, and that is the main thing so far. But our season isn't over yet. We aren't just waiting for the final. There's still work to be done, and that work starts on Sunday. And to be honest, in my opinion, we should have had top four sealed, done already. We should have had it done. And we just haven't. We haven't. Chelsea have played 35 games. We've played 36. They are 6 points behind us. So, if Chelsea win all of their games, and obviously if we lost against Chelsea, if they win all of their games, they would go above us. If we draw the game against Chelsea, somehow I think that may give us top four. But I think if they've still got another 2 games to play, which is another 6 points. So if we draw the game, I think unless they manage to score a ridiculous amount of goals and overturn the goal difference that we have set, then we should be okay. I would want us to obviously be going out and to win this game. I want us to win every single game, no matter who it's coming against. And it's going to be a difficult game. Chelsea have been on one hell of a run so far. Maybe a month or so ago, you look back, and Chelsea were looking like top four's gone, top four's dead. Chelsea fans and such like that on YouTube and Twitter saying that top four is absolutely done, it's gone. That's it. That's all they can hope for now is the FA Cup final. That's what they were all saying. All of a sudden, they've turned around this incredible vein of form, and I think they've won all of their last 4 games or something like that. I was looking back on some information, and the last 4 games, I think they've won them all. So I mean, they're now showing. It's almost like that spirited fight that Arsenal had last season. They're starting to show that they really want to try and get back into this top 4, regardless of what happens with Antonio Conte, it seems. And at the moment, they look like they could do it. And I just don't want it to be at the detriment of Liverpool. I don't want it to be us giving them top 4, because the worst thing for us would be obviously going to the Champions League final, amazing. But if you don't win it and you finish 5th, you've got no Champions League next year. I've always said, I want us to be consistently in the top 4, getting the Champions League and progressing. This is what we need to do. We need to make sure that we've got this game absolutely sorted. If minimum draw it, win it is the absolute. That's what we should be doing. We should be aiming to win this game, and it's going to be difficult. But sometimes Chelsea, they make things difficult for themselves. I look at that Swansea game that they played. I think was it last week, where they won 1-0, and it was against Swansea. Swansea, I think, are still in the bottom 3. I might be wrong on that one. But Swansea took it to Chelsea. Chelsea didn't really, as far as I'm aware, or from what I could tell, they weren't resting players. They still had the likes of Giroud, Fabregas, who got the goal that settled the game, and Hazard. They were still playing a lot of key players. They weren't resting players just to be like, oh, it's Swansea. The stats are quite even. And obviously when you look at the stats, people can say, okay, stats are subjective, but there were some that were in Swansea's favour, such as, I think, shots on target, and they just didn't have the finishing to follow it up. But Swansea took it to Chelsea, and we have to take it to Chelsea ourselves. We have to make sure we take it to them, because I would love it. The perfect thing for us right now would be beat Chelsea, win Chelsea, win that game, and then you can go into our game against Brighton, maybe with a few people rested, your likes of Mohamed Salah, Sadio Mane, etc. Because then you can rest them, give them the maximum amount of rest that you can afford them to have, again ahead of the Champions League final, which is, again, unbelievable stuff that we are there. But we now have to sort of alright, how are we going to approach these last 2 games in the Premier League? Because it's quite weird to think the end of the season always creeps up on you. It's like you're in the thick of it. There's games week in, week out, sometimes twice a week, which we've had recently. There's just games all over the place, and then all of a sudden, this is our second to last game in the Premier League. Next week, is going to be our last game in the Premier League this season, and then that's it. The season's over. So this has come around so quickly. So quickly. Almost, it catches you off guard. Well, it catches me off guard anyway. And we just need to make sure we do the business. We get top 4 sealed and done, and then we can just plough on and look forward to the Champions League final. And then obviously after that, it's going to be everything to do with the World Cup and everything like that. And I'll do some stuff for the World Cup, but I don't know how much. Anyway, in terms of starting lineup, honestly, we could probably, by the sounds of the press conference that Klopp has given, I think it was yesterday or maybe a little bit earlier today, can't remember, but everything looks like absolutely tickety-boo. And what I mean by that, absolutely, we could start the same 11 that we did against Roma. And for me, we should. There's some people saying that we should rest players against Chelsea and then come out full force against Brighton. And I can kind of see what you mean, because you're gonna be able to score, or maybe the opportunity to score more goals would be against Brighton, you would assume. But I never like to assume anything is just a given. I don't. I like to go into every game as if it's the most threatening game of all time. I like to go into each game like our lives depend on it. And to be honest, top 4 could depend on it. It really could. You also got to keep an eye on what's happening with Tottenham, because I don't think Tottenham have been very consistent lately. I think they're still a point below us. I'm not entirely sure. They're still a point below us. Chelsea are more likely to catch Tottenham than they are us at the moment, but again, that's only a 5-point gap, whereas we have a 6-point gap on Chelsea, and Chelsea still have 3 games to play. I don't know who their other 2 games are against, but we're up next. And for me, we should be going full throttle. Like, there's people out there. There's maybe a couple of changes that I might do. Do we take Trent Alexander-Arnold out of the team for this one, because he had a pretty good performance over 2 legs against Roma, and bring in Nathaniel Klein, because Nathaniel Klein apparently is back to fitness and back to match fitness, and he can play. Alberto Moreno, I'm much more unsure of. I wouldn't have been earlier in the season when he was playing well, but since he's come back from injury, he's kind of being like the old Alberto Moreno that we had last season. And I'm certainly not going to slate him, because he did well for us at the start of this season. He did very well for us, but we need a much more consistent performer, and I'm much more inclined to go with Andrew Robertson. I think that's what we need there, alongside Van Dijk and Lovren. You know, at the end of the day, I know a few people maybe would have been calling for Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez, since he's come back from injury as well, hasn't looked that great, and we want our most solid back 4 and obviously goalkeeping. You know, we want those positions to be as solid as they can be, and they are the people that have played together as much as possible if you include Trent Alexander-Arnold in there. I would probably bring Trent out for this one, just to give him a little bit of a rest, play him against Brighton, and bring in Nathaniel Klein. Or, I mean, it depends. You can do it either way. You can bring Trent into this game and put Klein into the Brighton match, which might have a bit less pressure in it. I'm not sure, but at least the opportunity is there to rotate if we need to. Midfield, I think, again, you've got to go the same. I think you've got to go with Milner, Henderson and Wijnaldum. Lallana is apparently back fit, but I'm always a bit wary of having people that are just back fit coming into a starting lineup, and I don't think that would happen anyway. I think he's going to be on the bench, and I think you'll have Milner, Henderson and Wijnaldum in this one. I think we will miss Oxlade-Chamberlain a hell of a lot for the run-up at the end of the season and the Champions League final as well, because we are looking light in midfield right now, but we've just got to get on with it and do it. And we've got 2 of the most industrious midfielders that we can have in Henderson and Milner. They might not be the most skillful. They might not provide everything that, say, like the pace and stuff like that Oxlade-Chamberlain does, but they work hard, they graft, they do the dirty stuff, and they can also pass. They can pass well. You know, there's a reason why, you know, James Milner is now the record assist holder in the Champions League during one season. That man is awesome. That man is ace. And then up front, I would go the same that we have been doing. Mohamed Salah, Firmino, and Sadio Mane. That is what I would go for. I think you've got to go at Chelsea full throttle. We have to go for this one and make sure that we get the victory. At least get a draw, but we have to get the victory, because if we get a draw, then we put pressure on ourselves to really have to win against Brighton. And I think, to be honest, I'd like us to be able to come into the end of the season and not have that pressure on us. But at the end of the day, I don't know how this game is going to go. It could go either way. Both teams have stacks of talent in. It just depends. Is it going to come a little bit too soon for some of the players after playing in Rome? It's been a hell of a long time. You know, they've been playing 2 games a week, and I think our squad depth is being tested massively right now. I wouldn't change the starting 11 a great deal. In fact, I don't think I'd change it at all. I would put Trent in this one. It would mean he's up against Hazard. Maybe that's why people might think put in someone like Nathaniel Klein. But again, I'm not a fan of putting people straight in after they've come back from injury. But regardless, we've got an option there from the subs bench if needed. I'm going to go for it, and I think that Liverpool can get a 2-1 victory here. But it could go either way. We could draw and we could lose. That is just the reality of the team that are a quality team in Chelsea. You can't forget that. No matter how they perform this season, they are a quality team, and they could, they could beat us. We can beat them. That's just how it is. But I'm going for a 2-1 Liverpool win. Let me know what you think in the comments below, please, if you can. Thanks so much for your support over all of these videos over this entire season. Make sure you subscribe if you are new around here. Like the video, and I will catch you later.